Welcome to Longevity Post
with Bob and Brian.
So Brian, who might I be?
You are Bob, health analyst at longevitypost.com and my irreplaceable sidekick. And who am I, Bob?
You are Brian Simonis, chief researcher at OrthoNutrition and also an orthomolecular practitioner.
In this episode, we are talking about hair loss and why you are losing your hair.
Yes, Bob. As a matter of fact, a little bird whispered in my ear that you have prepared a list with the most common types of hair loss.
Well, Brian, it's true. The first one is pregnancy hair loss.
Well, the mother, after pregnancy, she loses a radiant, thick, virtually glowing hair quality. And this happens because the progesterone and estrogen levels are getting a little bit topsy-turvy. For example, back in the third trimester of pregnancy, a woman has 300 to 400 times the normal level of progesterone. And this makes the hair incredibly amazing. But after pregnancy, what happens is progesterone drops and estrogen rises, and this disrupts the hair cycle. So, Bob, what is number 2?
Number 2 is thinning hair during youth.
Okay, well, here we have a teenage boy or adolescent who discovers a receding hairline. How does this happen? Well, during that time, you've got mass acceleration of growth. Their bones are growing. You've got a lot of IGF-1, insulin growth factor. You've got high levels of prolactin. You've got high levels of androgenic hormones. And you also have a very low sex hormone binding globulin, which allows a high level of free testosterone, which is available to convert into dihydrotestosterone via the 5-alpha reductase enzyme. And eventually, the sex hormone binding globulin does go up over time, therefore in turn decreasing the level of convertible testosterone, which is free. So what is number 3, Bob?
Number 3 is the classic.
Sounds like male pattern baldness. Is that right, Bob?
Yeah, that is bullseye.
Okay, well, here we have, say, 25-year-old man who almost cries in front of the mirror because of a thinning crown and visible temples, right? So what happens there? Well, you've got usually, similar to the adolescent in some sense, you still usually at this time still have a low level of sex hormone binding globulin, higher level of free testosterone, which is readily able to convert into 5-alpha reductase or regular dihydrotestosterone from enzyme 5-alpha reductase. Also have some slightly elevated levels of prolactin. You also starting to come to the point where your stress hormones via cortisol could also start to wiggle its way into the picture, and there's probably a beginning decrease in the mitochondria health or vitality, where there's a accelerated senescence or basically a breakdown of the cellular structure in the mitochondria. We're starting to see the advances of aging here. So, Bob, what is number 4?
Number 4 is female pattern hair loss.
For example, a 45-year-old woman losing lots of thickness, showing the glimmer in the sun of her scalp that's finally able to be seen from the naked eye. And this happens because as they're starting to approach the change of life, or what they call menopause, where there's a ceasement in the amount of menstruation happening, there's also a declining level of hormones such as progesterone and estrogen, and maybe an uptick in the amount of androgens happening. So they're getting sort of a female pattern balding situation happening. And Bob, what is number 5?
Well, number 5 is alopecia areata.
Okay, Bob, well, when male and females can go through any time in their life, they can literally lose patches of hair, and this is through an immune privilege collapse, which is another way of saying that the immune system of your hair that governs the situation in the skin or the cells that produce hairs, there's a collapse in the immune system there, and this could cause an immunological situation where patches of hair literally fall out. So, Bob, what is number 6?
Well, it's PCOS.
And that stands for Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome. And this is the female equivalent to male pattern baldness. And what happens here with these women, this could happen anywhere from adolescence to midlife or even later. And this is usually from a progesterone deficiency, elevated levels of androgens, and sometimes some changes in estrogens. And here they often and sometimes accompany insulin resistance condition as well. And so far, all these conditions I've mentioned thus far are treatable. What is number 7, Bob?
Diffuse hair loss.
Okay, and in that situation, this could apply to a male or a female. And for example, if you have a 30-year-old person who has obvious signs of diffuse thinning all over their scalp, this is usually attributed to some form of thyroid problem, whether it's an indirect thyroid situation, or it could be a direct, or it could be Hashimoto's, or it could be an immune thyroiditis, which is essentially another form of Hashimoto's disease. So this is another cause of the diffuse thinning as well. And Bob, what is number 8?
Well, number 8 is miscellaneous causes of hair loss.
Okay, so here we have various different kinds of inflammation, as if other forms of hair loss were not bad enough. These may be in addition to the present condition. So it could be anything from histamine reactions to burning of the scalp, to folliculitis, to seborrheic dermatitis, which is an excess level of sebum. It could be psoriasis, could be Miscellaneous yeasts, it could be fungus, it could be toxic mold, and there are even more. But these are the majors.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Awesome summary. And if people want to treat their conditions,
Subscribing to our channel would be a wise way to understand exactly how these conditions could be treated, maybe even cured. So I think that's really the issue in a nutshell. If you're eager to get healthier but are fed up with non-holistic pharmaceutical-based one-size-fits-all approach, simply subscribe to our channel and let's prioritize longevity together. Free of charge, full of longevity.
Also, you can help us out a lot by pressing the like button for this video. Thanks and have a great now.